Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and we are back for more of the only saving grace of the early Image era with Savage Dragon number 2. But first, hello friends, welcome to Blood Force. So this is Blood Force. Blood Force is a comic book that I write and draw. It is both a celebration and a parody of 90s extreme comics, and it is full of crazy stuff like this, and the action is only getting better with every page. And in order to read Blood Force, all you have to do is open the description below, click the link, go to my Patreon, and subscribe there. By subscribing on my Patreon, not only do you get access to the Blood Force comic, all of it in its entirety, you also get access to every video that I make before I post it to YouTube, usually about a week or two in advance, as well as the pre-Blood Force stuff. So we're talking about the sketches I made coming up with Blood Force, as well as a couple of projects I worked on before I did Blood Force. All this for just $3 American. You cannot get Arm Blades and Vengeance for a better price. So subscribe today, let's get Blood Force out on those shelves, and let's give the world the comics it deserves. Alright, so we are back with more Savage Dragon. And if we recall what happened in the last issue, Savage Dragon was sad because his girlfriend, in quotes, got killed after she spent the night at his place after he slept with her that one time. And this made Savage Dragon fall into kind of a funk where he had to grow a mustache and get a little bit more brutal when he was dealing with super freak criminals. And that was bad. And he knew it was bad, but he kept doing it. And then he ran into a couple of super freak hero people that maybe he could use on the police force in the future. But only if he stopped being an asshole with a mustache. Nobody likes that. So, this one here, he seems to be kind of over it. I haven't read much more than number 3 so far. I don't think he's in his funk anymore. So, good job, Dragon. He heals quickly. So maybe he heals quickly emotionally too. And this one is coming out in July of 1993. Last one came out in June. So well done there. Not only that, number 3, which we'll be checking out in a couple days, August. Look at that shit. Yeah, fucking great. So, you know, I can complain about the paring back in the art style, but at least at the beginning here, it does appear to be working. And of course, this is the issue which was hyped up a little bit. This is Savage Dragon crossing over with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I took a look through it. It does read a little bit like it was written by somebody who didn't know much about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which may be the case, because you got to remember this was in 1993. So the Ninja Turtles as a comic book phenomenon has been around at this point for about 9 years. As a toy / movie / cartoon franchise, it's more like, I don't know, 5-6 years. So it's popular, but not. It doesn't have the longevity it does today, where it's just Ninja Turtles will never die. There will always be Ninja Turtle content. And you think about where Eric Larson was when Ninja Turtles first started coming out and first started getting big. That was when he was first breaking in at DC. So, you know, it's not like he was a kid when Ninja Turtles started up. And he wasn't part of any kind of indie scene anymore, really, at that point. He was probably aware of what they were doing. But I honestly don't know how much of a fan he was. And this one is going to be a bit more expensive than the last one. Last one came in at $245. This one is $370. $295 American versus $195. Because this one is a double issue. And that seems to be the only circumstance where Eric Larson is planning, at least at this point, to charge extra for his books. And lastly, of course, good cover. All centers in nicely. Too much green, but that's, I mean, what are you going to do with this crossover? And I like the corner box. I don't think it returns, but it's nice to see. All right, so not much to look at there. Although there's a bunch of backup features in this. While there is a lot of pages in this issue, it's actually less Dragon than we're used to. This is 20 pages of Savage Dragon, and then a bunch of backup feature stuff. And I'm not sure why, other than Erik Larson has a platform now. And maybe he wants to help some buds out or some people that he thinks are talented and aren't getting work somewhere. Could be the case. And he hasn't been around long enough to establish spin-off books, unless you're Rob Liefeld. But for just putting a backup feature in your book, it's not the worst idea. I don't know how much I like the idea of charging, the kids extra for it, but it is like twice as big as a usual issue. I guess it's justifiable. And we're going to start off with Dart going into the police station. And everyone just knocks everybody's socks off because she's wearing a very shiny bathing suit. And Officer Alex stops her and does the whole, where do you think you're going? And she says, I'm the new super cop. Right there. It's like, oh, thank God, we needed another one. And we hear about the captain affair. Captain Stewart. I'm supposed to report to Captain Stewart. I'm Dart. And it's like, did Lieutenant Darling send for you? No, Captain Stewart did. Apparently, Officer Dragon keeps getting loaned out. Captain Stewart thought my arrival should be kept a secret. It's a little strange. This is the first we're hearing of Captain Stewart. And naturally, as soon as the rookie super cop shows up, then there's an alarm, a code blue. There we go. You can tell by the code blue lettering. And Dragon's out of town right now, which is somewhat important for later on. Let's see how those pretty tights do you in real combat, girl. Welcome to Chicago. And we get, nice big double splash page. And so Dragon is off in New York. Got called away because there's a living gargoyle buzzing around snatching up old ladies. And for some stupid reason, I'm called in to deal with it. It's a great shot. Worked in the perspective a bit there. Got some nice lighting. Yeah, that all works great. We've already had a couple of splashes, as it is. And Dragon gets jumped by the Ninja Turtles. And like I said, they all kind of talk the same. Leonardo talks a bit fancier than the other guys. Or a bit more stodgy. And this is, it doesn't sound a whole lot like the Ninja Turtles. This is Erik Larson's version of them. That's fine. They do have their own issue, which I've never seen a copy of. I looked it up online here, and it took me a little while to find it. I've never seen that cover either. So we'll see an ad for it later on in the issue. I guess we can talk a bit more about it there. So this stuff all looks okay. It's that slightly rushed kind of style, but not so much as it will be later on. There's some nice stuff. Again, if you're in a comic store and you pick up Savage Dragon versus the Ninja Turtles, and you open up to this stuff, you're like, that is what's happening. Yes. Okay. They did not lie. And again, a lot of green, where it makes it difficult to tell exactly what's going on the page sometimes. Which is unfortunate. That's just what's going to happen in this kind of crossover. You can't really avoid it. Even the shell kind of, it blends in with Dragon's coat here. He's a slightly lighter shade, at least, but no, it's difficult to tell what's even going on. And they fall off the roof, and he's like, "I'm a police officer, punks. You're under arrest." And at least they know who Dragon is, which would make sense. There's not a lot of superheroes in this world yet. But we're getting there. And it looks like they're all got the same mission. They're all out to hunt the gargoyle. I don't know what the hell the Ninja Turtles think they're going to do about it. Because, it's a big, giant fucking stone gargoyle. See? Again, decent splash. But these buildings in the background, if you even look at them for a second, they don't hold up at all. A bit of a drag, but, I think that was kind of the case. Yeah, it feels like his backgrounds are starting to break down a little bit. I remember some of his stuff in Amazing Spider-Man. It's very detailed and a little painstaking, really. We should go over some of that at some point too. Some of the Revenge of the Sinister Six. That'd be a good one to go through. So, Dragon and the Ninja Turtles are all going to attack the giant stone gargoyle, and naturally the Ninja Turtles don't do fucking shit. But they get some cool shots anyway. We had Mikey flying with his nunchuck spinning. We got Raph flying with the speed lines. There's Leo. And Donnie doesn't get a whole lot of screen time. He does get in here at least. And it is a full-on fire-breathing dragon gargoyle kind of thing. Good-looking stuff. Nice and kind of exciting. And I guess they kind of distract him long enough for Savage Dragon to jump up and just kind of punch to pieces. So, turns out it genuinely is an actual gargoyle. And that's a Eric Larson designed character if I've seen one. That thing looks fucking ridiculous. Anyway, and I don't know what this is, like who this is. I would assume that she shows up again in the Ninja Turtles side of the crossover. And anyway, Dragon is gonna head back to Chicago now that the gargoyle's been destroyed. And us bald green guys have to stick together. Solidarity. Although, again, if there's the Ninja Turtles side of the Dragon Turtles crossover, does he come back? Or what happened there? I don't know. Like I said, I never read it. And then there's a follow-up to that bit with that farmhouse somewhere in Illinois, in DeKalb. I'm guessing that's a town that Eric Larson grew up in. I know he grew up all over. I've never heard of DeKalb, Illinois, but it just, it's not one of those towns from the States that you hear about. And yeah, some little kid stumbles upon the bodies again. I'm actually starting to remember this a little bit. I think this might have been Horridus, one of the Freak Force characters who's in the basement here. But I could be wrong. We haven't gotten that far yet. That would have to be around issue 4 or 5. All right, and so getting through to the letters page here. And we're getting some kind of fun questions. And like I said before, Eric Larson likes to answer these kind of snarky. Why do you create awesome characters like Cutthroat, Glowbug, Basher, Mako, Hellraiser, Inferno, Hardware, and the Shrew, only to kill them or put them in jail? And Eric Larson's response is, would you rather I create lame characters? What better way to demonstrate what a badass the old Finmeister is than have him triumph over a real challenge? Eric Larson has no problem creating lame characters, I have to say. I remember at one point I was looking through, I don't remember why I ended up here, but I ended up on the Savage Dragon wiki page, where I ended up looking at the past members of the Vicious Circle. Vicious Circle is the group of super villains that Savage Dragon has to fight. First of all, it goes on forever. There are literally hundreds of names. I'm just going to read you the B's. All right? So there's Babyface, Baby Killer. Babyface with no space in between baby and face. There's Backfire, Bad Axe, Bagman, Bandit, Basher, Battle Bat, Battle Dragon, Battle Roy, Bare Hands, as in, like bare hands, but bear is spelled as in the animal. Belcher, Beelzebub, Bighorn, Bloop, Bludgeon 2. What happened to Bludgeon 1? Did he not get to join? Blue Broad, Blue Chuck, Blue Chunks, Blue Demon, Blue Dawn, Blueberry Surprise, Body Count, Bradley, Peckerwood, Brainy Ape, Braino, Brainwave, Brawn, Brute, Bud Ugly, Bug, Bug Eye, Bug Guy, and Bulldozer. That's a mix. A couple of those are acceptable. I don't think I'd call really any of them good. There's, like, Brainiape's about as good as it gets, and even that is, like, Silver Age Superman villain. I think I'm thinking of one in particular, aren't I? I don't know what it's called. Anyway. Yeah, and this is his... I think he's got a bit of a love for dumb comic book characters. I don't know if I can fault him for that. Maybe not. Because he would have grown up in the 70s. Yeah. Like maybe mid-70s to early 80s. It would have been his formative comic book reading years. And maybe even early 70s. I'm not for sure. Yeah, it looks like he was born in 63. I think you can bet that in 1970 there was a 7-year-old Eric Larson reading some fucked up Superman comics. So, yeah, he's going to have some dumb shit, which is going to be... When I said, like, you didn't have to come up with a good character to get into the Savage Dragon contest, that's what I mean. That's what you're competing against. Fucking Bug-Eye and Bug Guy. All right, we got a little bit more here. Is Super Patriot going to get his own comic? Yes, Super Patriot gets his own miniseries out next month. I want to touch on that eventually. I do have that series. And that's by Dave Johnson, and it looks freaking awesome when there's tech stuff going on. And it's weird when there's not, because that's Dave Johnson. All right, next issue. The Dragon, a Jailbreak, Dart, Star, and the new improved Mighty Man. Featuring the menaces of a bunch of names, and a Mighty Man backup by Vic Bridges. All right, and Vic Bridges, but no, not anymore. And Terry Austin, not to be missed. Yeah, it's not coming up with one of those enough said kind of sayings, So that's the image I remember seeing of Dragon Turtles, the turtle side of things. I'm not sure who drew this. It almost looks a bit Larson-y, but not quite. I mean, it's it. Maybe, I don't know. No, it is Eric Larson in there, but with somebody else. I'm not. I guess somebody else inked it. Okay, but the final version doesn't look like this, and I've never seen it in real life. I'll see if I can find a copy to put up here. But yeah, I won't be ordering that thing. It's like $12 American for one issue that I only kind of want to look at. No, that's okay, thanks. And we got some pinups here by somebody, Michael Dooney. Not familiar. Good depth though in this drawing. And we got Rick Leonardi, always good. And then we got a Star backup. Written by Eric Larson, drawn by Rob Haynes, which is not a name I'm familiar with. Interesting style, though. Very smooth, like his style looks fully formed here. And we're just in the halfway point here. And Dragon's off extraditing Death Job to Sacramento, California. Star, okay. What's this say? Firefight. This is kind of the problem with Chris Eliopoulos sometimes. I have difficulty reading this shit occasionally. Sometimes I don't. Frackaboosh! I do enjoy it either way. Even if you can't read it, that just says, you get the gist. Yeah, but this style is pretty cool. I mean, and I don't see any real deficiencies in his game, and yet I'm not familiar with the name. It's very strange. It is a very particular style, but not too dissimilar to something like Kelly Jones. So I was thinking earlier, if I had to read issue after issue of this, I might have difficulty with it. I don't have any problem with reading Kelly Jones for multiple issues, so maybe not. Or even Dave Johnson, who isn't too dissimilar. It's a dumb fight. It's written by Eric Larson. Star is Spider-Man style hero when it comes to fights, in that he's constantly quipping. But Eric Larson doesn't come up with the quips very well, at least not in this one, where he says, this is Inferno from Savage Dragon miniseries number 3, and he goes, "You're dead, do you hear me?" And Star goes, "I know you are, but what am I?" So not the cleverest stuff. It all looks kind of cool. It's not that it's a little tame after Savage Dragon, where dudes are flying every which way, and it's like Dutch angles and speed lines and gigantic hits and super muscled dudes, and then you go to that. This feels a little restrained. It is very nice though. And Star loses his hair, which will come back, and manages to jump down. I guess not quite an elevator shaft. This is more just like a hole that's been cut out at a construction site. And this would appear to be the death of Inferno. He managed to damage a gas truck that spilled on him, and that'll do it. And then we get the Erik Larsen thing that he does sometimes, where he can't figure out where to stop the bits, like the lines, the quips, where he's, oh, so much for my trademark hair. This will sure play well on Entertainment Tonight. That might have been a fine enough place to stick right there, and just, this is no way for an idol of millions to be treated. Oh man, sheesh. I wonder if Inferno made it through that one. I think I'm going to be sick. It just keeps going. I don't know. He's about as good a writer as Image has too. He's good enough to hold his own, like to keep a book going. That's kind of it. But when he's also the artist, that's like formidable at Image. And here we get more of this guy, this Rob Haynes guy. That's him still, right? Yeah. Rob Haynes is a big U2 fan, so he likes to put the U2 in the smoke. Also, really likes to do this high contrast stuff with the colors, and we get some more of that. More U2. It all looks very nice, and like I said, it's fully realized style-wise. But again, it feels kind of tame. This is Image in '93. There's no big splashy poses. I can't see anybody's molars around here. So, it's not quite being done right. This would play pretty well today, probably. And then we go to the second half. We have a flip book. Even though Rob probably bitched to him constantly about how the flip book didn't work in Youngblood. But this is Vanguard number 0. Vanguard is a leftover of the Megaton days, when Erik Larsen was first breaking into comics and first managed to get Dragon into something published. I think most people who watch this probably know that he started at Gary Carlson's independent comic book called Megaton, and managed to stick there for a few issues, and that's where a few people got started. So him, Rob Liefeld got a couple of pages in. I don't think he ever did anything like substantial. Jackson Geiss started there as Butch Geiss, I think. Angel Medina. There's a few names who are like legit comic guys that got to start with Gary Carlson. So that's something. I think maybe he's just willing to give people a chance, which is if they've got some talent, which is always a good thing. And this was the character Dragon fought in Megaton. This is Vanguard. And we're going to get almost like a direct continuation of that ad we saw in Dragon number 1. So they didn't lie. There's the tower and everything. This is, I don't know, this isn't great. I'd like to like this, because this is Gary Carlson writing it, who gave a lot of dudes a start, which is nice. And he's finally getting his character, and he's getting his shot in the big time. I'd like to have that be like a fairy tale kind of thing, but I don't like this comic. Part of it is I don't like the art. I don't know who Tom Coker is. Maybe it's because you spell your name with 2 M's. I don't like it. Probably. It's not particularly dynamic. It's fairly solid though. Who's doing the inks? Jim Sinclair. Not familiar again. And the writing, there is a ton of exclamation points. And I'm not sure why. And it gets to the point where you're just constantly, you're reading in like this. It feels like every sentence has the same rhythm. Whereas just like, then a door opens and I'm discovered. There's a bunch of them. I can escape out through the window or I can fight. I don't waste any time thinking about it. My brother is in here somewhere. I fight. They die. The killing comes easier this time around. A noise. Like there's so many consecutive exclamation points. It all sounds like commercials from the 90s. And I cannot help, particularly with panels like this, I cannot help noticing that he just appears to be a naked dude in a banana hammock. Maybe that's what he's going for. But anyway, this all turns out to be a training exercise where the robot running the exercise runs out of inspiration and starts using monsters from TV. Okay. And then Image superheroes. And Vanguard quickly dispatches all of these like clone bots that have made themselves up to look like Image superheroes. And Wolverine. So, yeah. He's just kind of floating around in his spaceship outside the orbit of probably the moon. I gotta stay in shape in case our enemies, the Tiras Combine, attack our outpost here on Earth. And that's probably the moon. So he's just sitting there training in case anybody ever needs him. And nope, there's one last clone bot alive. I better take care of it. Oh, that's no clone bot. That's actually Supreme. To be continued in Vanguard number 1. Yeah. Not spectacular. And we've still got everything here is still an exclamation point. Yeah, I got some guesses as to why this didn't succeed, maybe. There was a Vanguard miniseries which lasted for 6 issues. It started with Tom Coker and then moved to Jason Pearson, I think. And then Bart Sears finished it off, but not under the name Bart Sears. Yeah, I look it up, and issue 6 is credited. It's very clearly Bart Sears on the cover, but it's credited as Andy Smith as the penciler. So I'm curious what the hell's up with that. Because like I said, very clearly Bart Sears, not even a doubt in my mind. So I wonder if he was under contract or something. But even then, like, is anybody going to look at that and go, oh man, I thought that was Bart Sears for a second, but turns out it's just Andy Smith. Anyway. So that is it for Savage Dragon number 2. Not bad. Again, there really hasn't been a bad Savage Dragon comic yet. You got the Ninja Turtles versus Dragon here. It was a pretty good 20 pages worth of it. Well, maybe 16 pages of that. Yep. And then you got some extra stuff that you probably wouldn't have paid for. But, like to get the particular hype train. Yeah, you'd probably pay for it. So that's going to do it for this one. We'll do Savage Dragon number 3 for Friday before we move on to something else. But if you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. Go over, follow me on Twitter. But more importantly, go subscribe on Patreon. That's where these videos end up as soon as I upload them, which is usually a week or two before they end up on YouTube, so you get an early start on that. That's also where all the Blood Force pages go and all of the process stuff. So we're talking pre-Blood Force stuff as well as some old kind of archive stuff. It's not a bad collection of content these days. All for just $3 a month American. Pretty good. But thanks one more time for watching this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.